All right, and welcome to the morning show. Real quick, a little housekeeping. Like always, if you're new here, hit that like button on your way in just to support the channel. Consider subscribing to the channel. That's what we're doing these lives for. Want to get the subscriber count up so we can get a little more push, grow the channel. And sometimes it's easier to join a moving train than people want to get on at the very beginning. But for those 3,000 that have already joined the channel, I really appreciate that. We're trying to do more stuff to sort of give back in ways where we can do live streams, a live show that weekly we got a poll in the community chat asking what day is best for members, because that one is a little more intimate, funny little show. So but for these morning shows, these little impromptu get-togethers, this is definitely for subscribers and new subscribers, both at the same time. So yeah, support the channel. Big way. The biggest way is definitely subscribing. If you want to donate, you want to share, all those, everything like that is appreciated. For those mean the absolute world to new channels. And that being said, we got a little bit of a show, a little bit of things that have been floating around the old interwebs that wanted to go back and forth with and see where people are with some of the stuff. Um, right now, one of the big things, and I thought it would, I was hoping it would die out. I would hoping that it died out a little while ago, but it seems like it's still an ongoing thing. This whole drama with Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb, and then that spillover, that initial interview that went so left, where we hoped things would go well. I hope things would go well because I thought they were both pretty big influences in their space, where there'll be some decent conversation, some overlap in some areas where they talked about where this could actually prove to be useful, prove to be fruitful. But yeah, it went left. It went left very quickly. Unfortunately, went very left. So at the end of it, when he said step outside and he didn't, which is fine. I wouldn't, grown men fighting like that with plenty to lose. You don't want to do that. But he said something, right? He said, explain the bitch. Right? He said, explain the bitch. Right? And people like me were like, what's going on? Morning to the best moderator that I have. Right? So yeah, he's like, explain the B. And the rest of us were like, what do you mean? We're thinking, if you follow Anton Daniels, and one of his core concepts is like, yo, married before you carry. He's a family man. He's a Christian. All his conservative values. Right? No heat, no judgment there. That's what he believes. That's what he stands on. And he often says that he's the same person online. He's the same person offline. Shout out to Prime, sir, ma'am. So we're thinking, right? What are you talking about? Anton's very vocal about his his family and how important they are to him. So people started kind of raising eyebrows, like, okay, who's this? So it turns out her name is Micca. She's also a fellow conservative, and she shares a lot of his values, and she's also on a lot of the panel shows that he does. And there's been like questionable stuff back and forth, people thinking, oh, you guys got a thing going on. So we're all kind of like, oh yeah. So now of course the internet does this thing, and it starts picking apart little interactions, little things he said, little moments like, oh, you guys in the same hotel, and she's married and he's married, and some of the stuff he's saying about her being attractive and hitting on her while some live streams. And I can not trying to be an apologist, but if your brand is about you and your wife and conservative values, it looks bad when you openly hit on this woman. So she did an interview with I think a former news host, or they shared some sort of background. And I think like just professional, like they work together. So he did an interview with her, and I previewed a little bit of it, and I was like, this guy, he's phenomenal at just the interview process, right? Because you watch some things and you see people like, you don't really know how to interview. You're not the best. You're not asking the questions, or you're letting people sort of up on some things, and he does a phenomenal job. So if anything, at the very least, you can take notes on that. Okay? That just sort of technique. And sometimes that's the name of the game. You're doing a lot of these things like, live streaming when it'd be easy on a Saturday morning just to kind of relax, get some brunch, right? Start, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, or just kind of relax or work on other content and just take a day to chill. But I want to get better at this. So to get better at this, we've got to do it more. So here we are. And again, an opportunity to get, new subscribers. So if you are new, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. This is one of the best ways to grow the channel outside of, dropping content, which the first video I dropped on the channel is about discipline. So I wanted to commit to that. So been dropping 2 videos a day so far. So we're just going to keep on, we're going to keep on doing that. If you don't know, and like my sister who likes to live under a rock and sometimes likes to hide behind old technology, Anton Downs is a well-known streamer and like 1.2 million subscribers on here. Corey Holcomb is a comedian, right? But if you don't know Corey Holcomb, I mean, you would probably recognize by his face once you saw him. But they had a falling out, and I mean, on screen on a live stream, and it looked terrible just for black men. But we'll get into that. And one of the things Corey Holcomb was screaming at the end was about, explain the bitch, and she's off camera. But Anton I guess he was traveling there with Micca and wanted to get her on camera. She thought she was going to be on the 5150 show, and turns out she wasn't. So she's just kind of off screen. So, at the end when they're screaming back and forth, here comes, Corey's like, yo, explain that. Right? Like, you supposed to be married, family man. Why you walking around with this attractive woman? Well, he didn't say that, but all that's insinuated. Anyway, that's one thing. Then, we've got the Cam Newton interview with Sarah Fontenot, where he was saying flat out, once you have you've got your baby mom or you have a kid, your value drops. And people were like kind of scratching their head, like, but Cam, you do this a lot. Is it you're having multiple babies with multiple women? You haven't married any of them. And they try to kind of push back on him. And it's one of those situations where, is it 2 things can be right? Or is it just, Cam, you're off base completely? Both of them are pretty big in the space in this sort of like relational content. But, the more you watch sort of Cam's interviews and, you're like, okay. I like the work ethic. I like the hustle. I like the grind. I like all that. And those are things that even from Anton, even from Corey, even from Cam, I like to take away from. But some of the takes are out there. And I think that's fine. You're supposed to move like that. You're never supposed to completely agree with everyone else. You're not supposed to be a robot. You're not supposed to be a clone of anyone else. You should have your own ideals. You should have your own values. But you should be able to call out people that you do support, people that you do look up to, people that you do admire. I love Anton Downs, his work ethic. For having sometimes what you see when creators get big, once you've got 1 million subscribers. When I started this channel, he had 800,000. So in the time that I gained 3,000, he gained 400,000. But the work ethic, I'm saying, is he's still dropping 2 videos a day. If I'm looking at that and saying that's the example, how can I be doing less while he's already there and still doing more? That is something that I could look and say, okay, all right, that's dope. All right, let me keep that same sort of energy. But then he'll go say something, then I'm like, no, I don't agree with that. You don't disavow the man like this is Mission Impossible. You just say, cool, don't agree with that. Right? Moving on. We can critique that. We can keep moving like that. They have nothing to do with your life. No, you're very healthy in that. Yes, Judge Judy is your favorite, and I do send you those all the time. But you've got to strike a healthy balance of these things. And sometimes we probably might be better in some ways if we didn't have the internet. But here we are. We've got it. Right? So deal with it. You can't keep running around like completely confused who the rest of the world is. So we have that. And then, of course, we want to also talk money. We want to talk real estate. We want to talk about New York, the best city in the world. Don't argue with me. Mamdani is there, the new mayor, and he's like, yo, we got a little budget issue. So I wanted to talk about that as well, so we can have a little diverse sort of conversation, because money matters, right? We stop playing, stop acting like it doesn't. And for those of you that are property owners, I have property in New York, and for those of you that want to be property owners, these are things that matter. These are things that we should consider. And sometimes we have to put a lot of the stuff in perspective, rather than just seeing what we're being given. We should now look at things on our own with a little bit of a critical eye, saying, what am I upset about? What is it? What is it? What is it? But again, I want to do more of these, and we do like talking about money on the channel often. So this is just an extension of that. We want to be all encompassing, take our time, build things out. So if you like content like that, definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, just so the algorithm can know, hey, they're doing stuff over here on a Saturday when they could be drinking mimosas right now, right? Or at least getting ready for mimosas, depending on the time zone you're in. All right, so we'll start with the little New York, because again, greatest city on the planet.
Mayor Mamdani is saying that if the state doesn't tax the rich, they'll have to raise property tax here in the city.
And as political reporter Marcia Kramer explains, it's all part of his new spending plan that he calls a last resort.
But I want to be clear, $5.4 billion is still a very steep mountain to climb.
So for reference, we started, right? He said when he took over for Adams, right? And hate him or love him, and some people kind of like, yo, Adams was kind of a thug. He had a 12 billion shortfall in the budget, and he, along with Governor Hochul, I think she sent like 1.2 billion in aid. He did some other cuts here, other things here. We got it down to 5.4 billion, but he's like, yo, that's still a tremendous amount.
Laying out his $127 billion fiscal plan that, despite the gap, increases spending by over $14 billion, the mayor offered a strategy that offers Governor Hochul and state lawmakers a Hobson's choice. Either pass election year tax hikes on the rich and corporations, or he will raise property taxes on everyone, homeowners, building owners, and corporations that own property here.
The property tax.
So, right, we get the gist of that there, right? You know, it's a simple choice that he's giving people. He's like, listen, if you don't want to F with it, cool, I understand. But here's the other side of it. You're going to have to end up paying, the homeowners are going to end up having to pay. So at first he's like, listen, we're just going to charge, the people that make over $1 million. So there's 33,000 Americans. We're just going to tax those. Albany said, Governor Hochul, who's in her election year, she's like, hell no, nah, stop playing. That's whenever we talk about tax the rich, it's always usually like a thought. It's an idea, but it never really gets off the ground, because you need that revenue, you need that business, you need everything they've got going on. So he's like, all right, bet. If you don't want to do that, then we've got to tax everyone else. Everyone else that's a property owner, business owner, we've got to raise that tax. And when they're saying, when on average that would increase it to something like $700 a year, but when people are already feeling the sort of the pinch everywhere else, they're like, nah, that's a non-starter for us. But we also got their reaction.
It's been only 49 days since Mayor Mamdani took office, powered by the promise of making the nation's largest city more affordable. But now he's floating this idea of raising property taxes for all. And New Yorkers, well, we know they're never shy to share their own opinions. Eyewitness News reporter Stefan Kim with their message for the mayor tonight.
I don't plan to move. It's my home. I'm not leaving.
This two-story single-family home in Cambria Heights is Vivian Campbell's American dream come true. His starter home that has become his forever home.
The greatest thing to happen to me.
He bought it just after graduating college in the 1990s. If you step inside, he even has a stack of CDs to prove it. The retired real estate professional, who was on a fixed income, recently poured almost $35,000 into a new front porch and a new roof. But now with Mayor Mamdani proposing a property tax increase, he feels duped.
Do you feel like he lied to you?
He'll not feel. He lied. Not feel. It's obvious.
That's why Campbell was among the dozens of homeowners in Southeast Queens who turned out for what they say was an emergency response to the mayor.
Mayor Zoran Mamdani, you are out your goddamn mind.
To the mayor, with the greatest respect, in every campaign speech, in every debate,
Where you engage, we opened our ears to listen. Now today, accept the words echoing from us now. Do your job as mayor and leave our taxes out of it.
To close.
So to be fair, it's a fair criticism, right? You said that, hey, I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna do all these dope things for free. Right? We're gonna get the buses and the subway for free. We're gonna reduce childcare. We're gonna freeze rents. And I think he said all this with the assumption because one of the mayor's jobs is to balance the budget. Now, that could be a proposed balance. That doesn't mean that the budget is actually balanced. But when we did it, it was balanced. You do it in anticipation of what the expenses are going to be. When those turn out to balloon, we're just like, what am I supposed to do? Right. But especially when you're turning it over to a new mayor. So what you campaign on, those promises, and I think Mondani is trying to be as transparent as possible, but running a city is often, not as transparent as you would like.
There's a $5.4 billion budget gap. The mayor says he has two options: convince Governor Hochul to tax the wealthy, which he refuses to do, or raise the city property tax rate by 9.5%.
Faced with no other choice, the city would have to exercise the only revenue lever fully within our own control. We would have to raise property taxes.
But the city council would have to approve the measure, and Council Speaker Julie Menon says the proposal should not be on the table whatsoever. Meanwhile, Hochul, for her part, is unlikely to soften her position as she faces re-election this year.
You are giving only two options. You're saying if we don't tax the rich, then I got to increase property taxes. We are not a pawn in Southeast Queens. We are not part of your negotiation tactics.
In Queens, Stefan Kim, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Again, the proposal that they're talking about is something like, on average $700 extra. But when people are already strapped, right, and when you ran on something completely different, well, this is when people feeling kind of led astray. And again, this is a very early on into him being mayor, so I guess it makes sense, but it's an easy thing to polarize and make people feel like, I've been duped. You lied to me. We should never have voted for you. I think historically, no politician has ever been able to do exactly what they promised. And New Yorkers are already kind of fed up with not getting exactly what they want. So, and it's a rough city to, it's a rough city to sit there and be like, we said we're going to do this. Now we're going to do something different. Yeah. New York is not with it. Then there's the other part of the problem. Yeah, definitely, tax supports. That's definitely the name of the game. But again, if you're new here, like, subscribe, definitely like the stream. It helps push it out. Share it if you feel so inclined. But yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel. The other fear is like, the people that are rich, the millionaires, right? Or the billionaires. What happens if they just say, I'm out? Florida just passed that their own legislation to get rid of property taxes, at least once you finish paying your house off. People understand that that's part of the fear of home ownership. I've paid this thing. It took me 30 years. It took me decades to pay it, and I still owe you property tax every year. And, it seems minuscule, but some people's property tax can be 9, 10, 11, 12, depending on the size of the place. Then it could always be assessed differently whenever the county or city comes around and says, wow, this place has increased in value. Money that should make you happy. If your house was worth, right, equity-wise, $100,000, and they say, wow, this place is really doing well, it's phenomenal. Now we've increased the value of your property. Well, you could say, oh, now my house is worth 150, 170. None of that really equates to real money in your pocket unless you decide to sell or get, a home, equity loan or line of credit, or you pull money out the house. So people are like, that's not real money I can do anything with. But your increase in the assessed value of my property means I have to pay you more money. So you can imagine it took you 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, or now probably 50 years to pay off your mortgage, and you still owe $10,000 a year, $12,000 a year, depending where your actual property is. In some places, $24,000 a year. You have to fork that over, right? $2,000. You're still paying $2,000 a month on a property you paid off already. people look at that and say that's well, people in Florida said, you know, DeSantis at least said, nah, we ain't doing that. Now, where does that revenue shortfall come? Like, have to be, I don't know, but I'm not looking into Florida, like, you know, fiscal politics, but it's a question, right? When you inherit sort of this sort of budget deficit, what do you do? Right? How do you, and I'm sure you don't want to go to the people and say, real talk, I thought we were Gucci. Adams kind of handed me, you know, a bag of rocks. Look what I got to deal with. How do I got to make this right? You say, look, I thought it was sugar, but from afar, sugar and salt look the same. I got a bunch of salt. I don't know what to do with this. I need your help, or you can tell the governor, oh, you need to tax the rich. 2% tax on the rich and the wealthy and the business owners and the millionaires in that club. Boom, we're good. We're good. Or I got to hit your pockets. And then now people want to do it like a little extra scrutiny. Say, okay, so what's actually in your, what are we paying for? And then people look and say, well, there's some DEI things in here I don't really agree with. What's different when you've got to fit the bill? But this is something for New York to decide. I think the council actually has to vote on it, and they're already saying it's a hard no. They're like, you know, it's a hard no. That's not going to happen. You don't feel bad about NY. I love NY though, right? I was born and raised there, so I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I don't, and as a property owner, I don't want to pay more when I got to, but because, you know, it's on average, right? It's on average 700, but when it hits you with that tax bill, right? You see a lot of creators, not a lot of creators, a lot of videos of people saying, you know, my home, my mortgage suddenly shot up double, right? And there's specific instances of this happening. One of those is you know, sorry about your cat. One of those instances is you have a new construction, right? And we're just trying to give some game here. You got a new construction and you buy a house and it feels good, right? Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, you've got a new construction and you're super excited about it. But when you sign those paperwork, that paperwork, it never said anything about, hey, your property tax has not been properly assessed yet because we just assessed the value of, say, the land. You put a house on top of it now. We haven't gone and looked at this, right? Yeah, no, they do keep doing London's tactics, but you know, New York has as the best city in the world is the underdog spirit, right? You think of the Knicks, you think of the Giants, right? It's underdog spirit, so you still want to be excited and you want to root for the underdog, right? That's why we like Rocky, even though it's from Philly. But back to what I'm saying, you have a property and it's assessed. It's not properly assessed, so you're living in there, and here comes the city, here comes the county, and say, "Oh, we came out. You have a house here now. Here's how much the property tax is now." And sometimes it's an unconscionable amount. Then your mortgage doubles, and then people are like, "Yo, I thought I was paying $3,400. Now I'm paying $56,000." Because the county will go there and say, "Okay, this is the assessed value going forward," and you have to make up retroactively for what it was all this time, what we've assessed it to be all this time. So new construction owners are sitting there, new construction owners is like, their mind's blown. The same thing if the city comes around, like Chicago, when you had their budget shortfall, and you say, "Oh, I'm tax property owners." They're like, "Yo, we're already broke. Can't afford it." So, you know, it's unfortunately one of those things as you get older, and you have to learn, you have to understand about how a lot of this stuff actually ends up working. And you're like, damn, this is kind of ass, right? My aunt, you know, rest in peace, she used to talk to me about taxes. I was 16 years old, right? I was 16 years old. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, no, that's absolutely fiscally true. You can't expect public services without public revenue. Yeah, that's facts. Like, when you're looking at how a government runs, it runs off the revenue from taxes. Like governments are not in the business of making money. They're in the business of spending it. And then they end up spending woefully. Like, and then you get things where there's rampant abuse, rampant theft. And because no one's really monitoring. If you don't watch American Greed, you should. Because this is a heyday of thievery. This is a heyday of people saying, "Oh, no one's watching the helm. No one's watching this at all. So we can charge this, and the government has automatic systems to pay this out, and people finding extreme loopholes. One of them I saw recently was it was time what war we were in the Middle East, and people, the military needed small things, nuts, bolts, these little things, and they're like, all right, one small mom and pop shop, where it was more like sister and sister. They accidentally sent an invoice and the finger slipped, and they charged an exuberant amount of money for shipping. Not like it was $3.98, right? $3.98, and they made a mistake and charged something like $400 for shipping. It was automatically sent through. They're like, yo, wait, this can't be. So what do? They naturally say, okay, maybe there may be a loophole, maybe there may be an issue here. So they start sending out the orders, and they keep increasing what they're charging for shipping. To the point of charging, $25,000 for shipping, $300,000 for shipping. It got so bad they ended up staying like something like $20 million from Department of Defense. Department of Defense is saying it's an automated system because we need it. We don't want to deprive our boys overseas when they have to fight. They need what they need. So the system automatically, whatever was charged for shipping, automatically paid. They got so brazen, and this is how it was finally red flag. So if some thing they were shipping was their shipping cost they put was $998,000, just shy of $1 million. Then the system's like, So then the system kicks it over to an actual person, and they're like, nah. So they make contact, said, yeah, explain this. They're like, yo, listen, how bad? That's on us. We messed up. They write them a check. The system write them a check of like $4 million, saying, oh, this should clear it all up. And one of the things they were saying, you don't catch a bank robber on the way out and say, oh, my bad, here's the money back. This should square us. Nah. So this rampant abuse and theft happens all the time. We saw it where Doge exposed some things. You saw it. And this is when people are not at the helm, when people are not paying attention, when people forget this money has to be somewhere. This money has to do something. So yeah, when you're stealing from the government, that's why. That's why the Van Wyck still hasn't been completed. All my life, right? The Van Wyck, never done. Right? This is why these projects take so long. All this stuff going on. All these people's, I'm going to divert this here. It's almost at this point, almost feels like the human condition. Yeah. Right. So it's bothersome. It's irksome. It's why people are like, some people, and I was watching different interviews. People are like, yo, listen, I don't mind paying if I could see what it was actually for. If any of you have been in New York, if any of you have driven New York, especially if any of you ever had a motorcycle in New York, you end up memorizing where the potholes are, right? For your season, for your riding season. You memorize where they are because just one could end your life, right? Just one. That's how devastating they are. Whenever you're driving, and again, in New York, you're driving and then you clench your teeth when you hit that pothole and you feel like the whole frame of your car just, right? Even if you know you've done it really badly, your music will stop, right? Your digital music will skip. You're like, damn, something's bad. Something is damaged under there. And you just grit your teeth. You're like, damn. Amount of slow leaks that exist there, I think that should be studied. The amount of tire shops and tire repair shops that are always available because you're always in need. That's just the nature of when those tax dollars aren't really being spent to fix an issue. And you see the other issues in other states where bridges are falling apart. And like, where's this money going? You see the same thing in Cali. Or where's this money going? Here's a bunch of billions of dollars to fix the homeless problem. Why do you have more homeless? I don't know. I got no real answer to that. No real solution for that. So I get it when people are saying, what's the point in paying taxes? And there's a growing, larger movement of landlords in New York saying, now you froze the rent, right? And rent stabilized rent. You say you're going to freeze it. Now you're going to increase property taxes. They're like, yo, it doesn't make any sense for us to continue doing this. Same thing that happened during COVID when the moratorium on evictions. We understand that from a humanitarian point of view, but what happens when the people say, "Yo, I still got to pay this mortgage," and these people living here like for free, and then you sending them money. So it's when you see something is not really well thought out. It's not run where it has any semblance of any type of understanding. Like, this is how we should be moving. This makes sense. So I get why people just end up being completely frustrated and just completely say, Meanwhile, Florida's like, come on down. So I guess the question, if you had the money, would you relocate? Right? If you were in New York and you had the money and you saw the way this was going, would you leave? Would you say, I'm going to jump ship? But let's continue. We're going to get into the interview I want to do the interview with Micca, right? So again, take notes on the way this guy actually interviews, the way he sticks to his points, holding her to the task. And again, I think they're friendly with each other. But my man is like, I'm a professional first. I'm an absolute professional first. Again, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. I can't really say that enough. I can't really say enough. That really, these things really help the channels out. Especially small channels trying to gain some traction.
It's been only 49 days since
You've seen the headlines. Entrepreneur and TV personality Anton Daniels is accused of having a side chick. Micca says she's no side chick and is sitting down with me for a one-on-one interview to clear up the rumors.
Here's another very challenging question, but I have to ask you. I just have to ask you. Have you and Anton ever had sex? Has Anton ever flirted with you?
Flirted with me as a sense of what?
Does Anton have you on an NDA?
He does give out NDAs to a lot of people.
What happened between him and Corey Holcomb? Have you met Anton's wife?
Yes.
Do you think you look better than his wife?
What a question. What a question, right? Shay, you think you're better than her? You think you're better than her? Also, listen, I forgot also, where the channel officially has merch. I think you can pin it. I'm not sure how this works, but if it pops up in the stream. But yeah, so we're again trying to expand, and if there's something that you want to see from the shop, any type of ideas like that, let me know. I can work on that. Just add it to the growing list of things to get done. But again, what a question. You think you look better than his wife?
Anton met your husband?
In person, absolutely not.
Now, I'll be honest, when I saw this picture, I was flabbergasted.
Why?
There's no...
Yeah, he's messy, but it's a messy situation, right? He's messy, but maybe calls the best.
No way my wife would be physically touching, leaning on another man in a way that suggests I'm feeling you, I like you. So which point was this?
This is the second time.
Oh goodness, the second time?
I am a conservative. I am a Trump supporter.
What is it that he's done that I and others have benefited from?
Donald Trump has a track record of actually doing things for the people.
I think that was a colorful response, but you didn't answer my question.
Answer your actual question.
This is my show, not yours. I'm not answering your question.
Oh, okay.
Everybody has a perspective. What's yours?
Micca, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. The reason why I really wanted to talk with you is obviously the whole incident between Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb was propagated all over the internet, and your picture came up a lot. And we're going to get into everything that was said about that. But for full transparency, I think the public should know that I used to be your executive producer for a show that I walked away from. But I know you're still a part of it, and I wish you well. More importantly, I wanted to... What, Micca? No, I do. It was a great show. I had my time there, and I really wish everybody well who's still there. But again, because I have a personal relationship with you and your husband, I know you guys outside of the work that I've done with you. When I saw this information, I thought it was important for me to have a sit-down conversation. At first, I thought, should I even delve into what feels messy? But I think there's a deeper message. Mm-hmm. And I had several people who sent me the content in my DM and said, isn't this your girl? Isn't this the young lady that was on a show you used to produce? I said, sure. And I thought about it. And then I made a decision we should talk. So thank you kindly for accepting it. Many people know about you, but some people don't. And I think this is the opportunity to let people know who you are. So I know you from a conservative perspective.
Yes.
I know that you also have your own show, and you do much around politics, and you're obviously an aficionado of President Trump. So let's begin to tell people about who you are, and more specifically, your role as a conservative.
Okay, well, if you guys don't know, my name is Pop Culture Micca, or just Micca. All right, I am a conservative. I am a Trump supporter, voter, whatever you want to call it. That's what I am. However, my conservative views are not based on Donald Trump. My entire family has always been conservative. We've always had just those types of values. And then when it comes to me being an adult, you know, just having the, you know, the luxury of smaller government, or wanting smaller government,
Yep.
wanting, you know, not to be taxed for every little thing, and just understanding how government actually works. It wasn't a thought for me to not be, you know, liberal.
Yeah, do you feel that mainstream media accurately represents conservative Black women?
No, absolutely not. I don't think it represents conservative, you know, values or people good at all, but especially not anybody of color.
So what's the difference between a person, and I feel like I know this because I'm conservative as well. I am just not a Republican. But what's the difference? Sort of elucidate or explain to the public what's the difference in an individual who's a conservative that isn't a Republican and hold those values, and then one who is a conservative and also happens to be a Republican.
Okay, well, there is a difference. However, I'm what's called a Trump Republican or MAGA Republican, right? So I tend to, because I'm a conservative, I vote Republican, but I am registered as a non-affiliate, because my whole thought process is, you know, you want to make sure you listen to both sides, but in this day and age, liberalism has gone just far to the left. So there's no way I would, you know, be able to vote for that. But I want to make sure that I'm not just voting, you know, Republican just because it's a party that I normally agree with. I vote that way because that's where my values lie. But if somebody is, you know, a part of that party, you have to also still press them. You can't just capitulate because you're a part of that party. So that's why I tend to stay non-affiliate. But most of my values, and every time I've voted, it's been Republican.
Speaking of President Trump, I know that there was the White House took down a racist video today. By the time this show airs, it would have been much conversation about it. But the racist video was of the Obamas. Their heads were placed on an ape, if you will. What's your take on that? It seems that the mainstream media...
It's not if you will. That's exactly what happened.
They reported that the president manages his own Twitter account, and about midnight or 12 a.m. sometime is when the video was posted. A video meme, and it appears to be very racist. What say you?
Well, everything that Donald Trump does is racist in the mainstream media's eyes. But when you get into it, the video was, I want to say, maybe a couple seconds long, but the video has all of the Democrats in it. All of them. They only focused on the Obamas because, of course, of the, you know, the trope of, okay, Black people being monkeys or apes or whatever. Would I have personally done it? No, because
you can't make this right. It's fine to be, you know, Republican. You don't have to agree with everything that's done. You got to be able to call out what is effectively racist behavior. You just got to be able to say it, right? You got to say, hey, that's racist, but despite that, I'm back the man. Say it. Say it with your chest.
I know how it will be taken and look and things like that. And I know that the mainstream media doesn't allow for nuance. I know it doesn't allow for certain variations. And I would know that they won't play the entire thing, and that would be the focus. So I wouldn't have done it, but I do understand the video in its context. It's like he's the Lion King, he's the king of the jungle. It's just when you're already hit with the racist trope, even if it's not true, which is, I can understand that because I'm hit with something and it's not true. The perception, you don't want to put out more.
It implies the trope. It implies
right. It implies that that's what you were going for, even if it wasn't.
Correct.
So I wouldn't have done it. But again, anything Donald Trump does is going to be under a microscope.
And let me get your take on what Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the Senate, this is what he said. I quote, "Praying it was fake because it's the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. The president should remove it."
Well,
do you espouse that thinking?
I don't think it's the most racist thing I've ever seen, or the most racist thing out of this White House. But I don't believe it's appropriate to keep up.
Let's call a thing. Is Donald Trump, President Trump, a racist to you as a conservative Republican, Afro-Latino woman? Mm-hmm. Is President Trump a racist to you?
No.
Okay. By evidence of what that he isn't?
By evidence of his track record.
And expound what the track record is.
So Donald Trump, it has a track record of actually doing a lot of things for the people, meaning everybody, versus just talking about it, versus just grandstanding and actually not doing anything but using a group of people to do something. Like when he says he's going to hire the best, and if it's a black person, it is because that person is the best, not because I just want to have a figurehead that's just black or that's just Latino. That person is actually a qualified person.
Is Patel Cash a figurehead? Because I think he's the only person of color in the Trump administration. It appears that the bulk of the Trump administration is predominantly white.
No. So the other person would be the HUD secretary. He's also black.
Yeah, who's invisible.
No, he's not invisible.
We don't hear about him.
Well, the mainstream media doesn't promote it. That's not my problem. That's not Trump's problem. That's the mainstream media's problem. Because the mainstream media also doesn't promote the fact that Joe Biden is a racist. And so is Kamala.
Yeah. Now, when you mentioned earlier, and then we'll sort of pivot from Trump, that Trump does something for all people.
Yes.
Give me an example of what all people, including Black Americans and people of color, Black and brown, have benefited from. What is it that he's done for all people that I and others have benefited from?
Well, I would say let's start with immigration, because let's be clear, the money that gets allocated to immigrants, especially in places like Chicago, can actually go to Black communities, can actually go to Latino communities that are actually here legally, right? When you allocate funds to a group of people that are not paying taxes, that don't contribute to the community, and you're not putting them in these white liberal communities, you're putting them in Black communities, you're putting them in communities that are already in despair. When you send ICE there, which, if you ever seen an episode of my show, The Red Cup, I've had Chicago Flips Red on, and Chicago Flips Red are all Black women, and they are Republican, and they talk about the high taxes that the Democrats are putting on the Black liberals there, instead of actually doing fiscally safe policies. All of these things affect Black communities, but they don't.
Now, what she's talking about is very similar to what's happened in New York, where Brandon Johnson, as the mayor of Chicago, where he turned around and said, all right, we welcome immigrants in, and we're going to house them here, and at the cost of the city, right? It went over budget. It blew the budget naturally, right? And what you want to do with your budget, how you want to run your budget. But then you turn around and, Black and brown people were saying, you're making all these things available to immigrants or these people that they're shipping and busing from Texas. But where's that stuff for us? We're still impoverished. Why wasn't the floodgates opened up? So now when it's time to balance the budget, he went and said, we got to raise taxes. So it was a huge outcry. And people were like, "Oh, we're gonna check it. We're gonna get you the ballot box. We're gonna flip Chicago red." So it's eerily similar to what's happening right now in New York. Will people? I think New York is a blue bastion. That's not going to change, but you can see these similar paths of what's happening and how you run your city. I think Mamdani has probably turned out to be a better mayor in terms of transparency, but time is going to tell.
Don't put that in the forefront. They only put, Donald Trump just wants to get the Latino community out of there, but there are already Black and brown people there. And by having Donald Trump sending people like ICE, you take those people out and the resources go back to the people that they were actually meant for, not these illegals that don't have any place here. It's not our job to take care of them. They can go back to wherever they came from, because if it was us in Mexico or any other place around the world, because they come from all over the world, not just Mexico, nobody would care. They would send us back home.
I think that was a colorful response, but you didn't answer my question. Because I want to be able to make sure.
No, that is direct, because the funds allocated, those are Black people.
But what I'm asking is, can you anecdotally identify something that President Trump did for all people that myself and other Black and brown people have benefited from, or has leveraged us as a community? I'm just asking for an example.
I just gave one.
Okay.
Which is immigration. Because again, you have places like Chicago. And the reason why I harp on Chicago is because Chicago has the highest, if not in the country, the highest deaths among Black youth, Black people in general. They take out Shot Spotter. They take out all of these things.
So when you say immigration specifically, what?
Because immigration is, because when they put these immigrants into these Black and brown communities, preferably Black communities, they take away housing that's for Black people. They take away maybe social services that are for Black people. That directly affects them. You have.
But how does that benefit me and other Black and brown people?
Those are Black people.
But you said it takes away the immigrants. So you're saying that immigrants, because
my tax dollars are going towards them.
So let me make sure I understand you. The immigrants that are in this country, you're saying that the immigrants here are taking housing opportunities away from Black and brown people.
Absolutely.
This country is made up of immigrants.
No.
All
this country, no, we're all not. My family is indigenous.
With
we're
the
all
exception
not.
of Black Americans who were enslaved and forced here.
not just Black Americans, indigenous Americans as well, because my grandmother is indigenous. I am not an immigrant, and neither is my family. So again, they're not here. They're not from here. There's nothing wrong with immigrating here. But there are other people, including other Black people, including other Latino people that came here the right way, that paid all of this money. You get to jump the Rio Grande and think I'm supposed to have sympathy for you.
Let me ask you this, and then we can move on. Do you think white ethnic people in this country are immigrants and also usurping opportunities from Black and brown people?
Absolutely. So you have like the Ukrainians. I'm not for sending my money over there. And a lot of conservatives aren't.
Well, let's just think who's here in America. I mean, you have Polish, you have Germans, English, Irish. So there's so many other immigrants in this country that are white ethnic people that may usurp opportunities from Black and brown people. But it seems to be a focus
only if you're illegal.
It seems to be a focus on Black and brown people. Well, I think this may be the perfect opportunity if you are of a different shade immigrant to come to this country, because the focus is now on the fair-skinned, if you will, immigrants. It's on the brown-skinned immigrants.
Nope, that's just what your mainstream media shows you. So
I don't pay attention to mainstream media.
Okay, well, that's just what maybe liberal media, including the independent ones, like your Don Lemons and them. Yeah. So people like that, they only show that, but you have your Chinese immigrants, okay? Because you have the Chinese that come over here, and they have something called where they come and have babies, right? And their babies get citizenship, and then they go back to China, right? They come and they do a lot of these legal houses, and they just found one in Nevada where they had a whole lab set up, and they came over during the open borders. So it's just not brown people, right? It's Chinese, it's other, Middle Eastern countries,
but that's
it's
not
other
what
white countries.
That may be plausible.
Everybody that is illegal, everybody's illegal,
yeah,
came through that southern border because it was wide open.
That may be plausible, but that's not what the Trump administration propagates. I'm just talking about what his
yes, he does.
The Trump administration.
They don't stress it. Donald Trump has said plenty of times, and again, I use the most notable ones for liberals, right? Which is the Ukrainians. He didn't want to send any of our money over there. And you know who wanted to? The liberals. And I know why, because you have people who benefit from that. People in the Democratic Party and some rhinos in the Republican Party that benefit from sending our money over there.
Fair enough. All right.
So listen, the reason, excuse me, the reason I didn't cut this part out, because I think it gives you insight into her mindset and sort of her character, her beliefs. So yes, we just kind of have to listen to what's going to be said. You don't got to agree with it. Don't got to disagree with it. But I just want you to listen to what she's saying. Listen to the way she responds to these questions versus how she responds to others, right? Like use it as almost like a lie detector test. You want to get an established baseline of how someone responds to what they truly believe, what they're passionate about, what they actually agree with or disagree with, how they say it, the cadence, the tone, all of that. I think this is why he started this with this, even though he knows I brought you here to talk about Anton. But before we do that, let's talk about this. I know you're passionate about this. I know you have your beliefs on this, and this. Again, I think he does a phenomenal job just as an interviewer. And that's probably one of those. You'd probably do a phenomenal job as an interrogator.
What do you think most people feel about black and brown conservatives? When people hear that you are a conservative or they hear that I'm a conservative, what do you think the misunderstanding is?
I think the misunderstanding is saying that you're trying to sell out to white supremacy.
Okay.
And I think that's an awful trope because white supremacy would be that this party owns me, that this party is entitled to my vote, because we should treat voting like we treat anything else. It's what have you done for me lately, okay? I'm not born in 1963, 64, 65, okay? So there have been plenty of things that have happened. Every time there is I vote Democrat because of the civil rights. This is years later. What have you done? Absolutely nothing. And most of the policies that I can recall in, a span of which I would have been born in, you have policies that have hurt Black people. You have the crime bill. You have poor immigration. You have the housing crash. All of these things that Democrats had a high role in, if not implemented. So yes, when I look at that, I think the bad trope of saying, well, you just want to be a part of the white man. Well, which white man? Because both of the parties are controlled by the majority. So which white man is the best? Whose ice is colder? That's what I get from it. And I think, honestly and truly, that
the lesser of two evils, which is why you should be an independent.
Well, evil is an evil. Mm-hmm. So again, that's why I have no problem with calling out, rhino Republicans, because there are plenty of Republicans that I don't like.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, George Bush is number one. It used to be Dick Cheney, but I'm giving him grace because he's gone. Those are my highest two on my list because those two impacted my generation, right? There are others, but again, just like with Democrats in the past, I look at what's in my generation, and I think the George Bush era was just a horrible era. I mean, because it ushered in a lot of policies that took away a lot of freedoms, like the Patriot Act and other just ridiculous policies.
All right, so let's get into Anton Daniels. Here's my thinking. With your vast erudition or knowledge in politics, was that the connection or bond? Because as I understand, he's a conservative, and much of his rhetoric, if you will, is political.
Correct.
Is that fair to say?
That's fair.
That is fair. Was that the bond or the connection between you and Anton?
Absolutely. So I was a watcher of Anton's content way before, I actually knew Anton. So that is one of the bases of my connection with Anton, and also the financial conservatism too, because Anton knows a lot about financial decisions.
Okay, and how would you describe your political relationship with him?
Political relationship, what do you mean?
Yeah, so is it primarily the relationship or the friendship you have is primarily about politics?
Well, no. Well, the relationship that we have now is primarily business.
Or prior to, when you say now, there's an emphasis that maybe it was different prior to.
No, the only prior to is before I knew him.
Okay.
So before I knew him, of course, I'm a consumer at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm, looking at Anton, like I said, from the conservative politics and the fiscally conservative shows he used to have.
Yeah. And what was it that caught your attention to stay connected to the work that he does?
Before I knew him?
Yep.
Oh,
you said you was a consumer of his work.
Yeah. It would be like the Millionaire Morning Show. That's actually what I did watch. I didn't know Anton's other shows until we started working together.
Sure.
But the Millionaire Morning Show, it has, like I said, it has different components of news, financial information, politics,
sure,
and a little bit of pop culture, which is my lane.
Yeah, and even with that being your lane, how did the lanes collided, if you will? Meaning that at some point, either you reach out, you email, you DM, you say, hey, this is great work you're doing. It's something that I'm interested in knowing more about. How was that establishment?
So Anton reached out to me.
Sure.
And he asked.
Well, let me ask you this, just for clarity for the public. When you say he reached out to you, so if you're a consumer of his work, how does he know to reach out to you?
He doesn't know to reach out to me.
So how
it just happens that I watch a lot of people.
Sure.
Online, but it just happened that he emailed me. I have my email up on my Instagram. I have it up on my
Yeah, but that's what
YouTube.
I'm asking. How did he know? How did he establish connection with you to know to email you?
Well, from what he told me, somebody sent him my work, and so he wanted to work with me, so he emailed me.
Okay.
So just consider that, and I'm thinking about it right now as a creator on YouTube, and trying to find different ways to grow the channel through subscription, through likes, whatever. And one of those big ways is definitely through collaboration. But when you are a giant in the space, right, and Anton's a giant in the space, it's very rarely do you reach down and say, okay, here's someone with a infinitely small channel, and I can use this is somehow going to benefit what I'm saying. Outside of you, probably, I can see from a business point of view saying, I want to flesh out and have a mixed race, Afro-Latino woman that's going to also be conservative and be like a talking piece for that. I can understand that that's maybe a unicorn thing to try to put together and try to find on your own and have that be sort of a voice, maybe, right? But it's very rare. It's very rare that someone's going to essentially reach down and say, okay, let me now elevate and pluck you, because otherwise she'd just be like the rest of us, trying to, put content out there, trying to grow her own base. This is almost like injecting, nitrous into the system, where now you're put in front. I would say that's like whenever you're looking at shows like Eight at the Table or Last Night's Conversation, and I'm always very critical of those shows, of those little panels where people get up and sort of just kind of pander. But I'm also very clear, if someone invited me to a show, I'm going, right? In terms of just what it can do for your channel, for your brand is incredible. So he's asking a very good question. What made him just suddenly reach out to you? I'm sure where whenever, if you watch Anton's channel and some of the things he talks about often when he's doing reactions, it's like, someone sent me this. It's very rare that I think he's going and looking for content to respond to. At this point, he's so big, you've got so many subscribers, people are constantly funneling him stuff to react to. That is it's probably, they've got a better finger on the pulse of what's happening on social media. Hey, we want a reaction to this. It's built in. You know, people are going to watch it. People are going to react to it. People want to see this. So him reaching out and saying, I'm going to elevate you from here to here, yeah, it begs the question.
So someone sent him your information, and then he decided to reach out to you.
Somebody sent him my content, and he decided to look me up. He got my email, send me email.
And if you can be transparent, what did he say in the email, or what did he say that established your interest to move to the next step?
Well, when I got the email, I already knew who Anton Daniels was because I'm watching Anton Daniels.
Yeah.
So he asked if I would be interested in doing an interview. I said, sure.
Okay. And the interview, just about, does he normally invite guests to come on?
All the time.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Anton has like one-on-ones with pretty much anybody. If his audience finds somebody intriguing, which is how he found me in the first place, then he'll bring them on, or if he finds them intriguing.
Yeah. And then you establish this sort of cordial friendship, if you will. It's a friendship at that point, because you weren't working.
No. So once I did after I did the interview did really, really well.
Okay.
Especially
and what was the interview about?
Everything. Anton asked me stuff from relationships, like my thoughts on relationships, because Anton does relationship panels and all of these things. So from relationships to politics to whatever he can come up with.
So it wasn't really a targeted subject, if you will.
Nope.
It was just, I want to have you on and I want to interview you about whatever comes to mind or whatever he is interested in talking about.
Correct.
Some people would say that's a cake bake. Do you?
Yeah, she you know, you can check out the Dr. Mark. You can check out the channel and see how my take on some things. Try to have like a nuanced sort of take where we sort of try to be understanding of what people are saying rather than jumping down people's throat. Highlighting this isn't to sort of propagate what she's saying. It's just to say, like, right now, this is culturally relevant to the culture. This is what's happening. When rather than saying, I fully agree with this. Like, if you watch from the beginning, one of the things I said is, you should be able to disagree with people. You should be able to look at something, even if you support someone, you'd be able to say, you're wrong on that. You're right on this. You're right on that. What does that all say? Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Right.
You feel it was?
What's a cake bake?
A cake bake is when I have a sort of a hidden agenda, if you will, for reaching out to a specific person, sort of making you believe that it's one thing and it could be something else. I may have insidious characteristics. And then once I'm able to lure you in, if you will, I sort of cake bake that situation, meaning that now I have your attention and I have you a part of my space, if you will.
Still talking about Anton, you make him rich. Yeah, Anton is beyond rich right now. But this Anton is, I think I've talked about Anton twice. All this, everything that's happened, I've talked about him twice. If you actually look at the content on the channel, talk about so many other things. So yeah, when someone is this big in a space, their movements are going to create waves. We also talk about Corey Holcomb and his sort of decompensation, but this is just, again, a small fraction of the content that being put out there.
Well, I've never heard of that, but I mean,
that's why
there could be people that can, but I can tell you right now, Anton was always like straight on for it, professional. Like there was really
no. I'm not questioning his
character. I'm just saying like there's nothing really that would fit into what you were what you're describing. Yeah.
So to you, based on my definition of cake bake, inviting you to come onto the show to have a conversation about no particular topic, or at least a topic that he would serve as a prowess. did not feel like a cake bake.
No, because, and let's be clear, especially in the independent podcasting space.
Sure.
Some podcasters are, particular. You and I would be amongst the top, because a lot of them don't really have an actual angle.
Yeah.
They get around, they talk, they do this, that, and the third. So it's not uncommon that somebody might say, "Oh, I like what you said there. Hey, you want to come on?" And it might not be anything in my field or lane, but that doesn't stop them from reaching out.
And where's the show taped?
So he tapes in Detroit.
So he's in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to fly out to Detroit?
Correct.
Did he or the show pay for you to come out?
Correct.
And did they pay for your room and board as well?
Correct.
So you stayed in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let me pose that as a question. Did you stay in a hotel?
Correct.
You did stay in a hotel. And you stayed alone in a hotel?
Correct.
Okay, just because these are questions that have come in, so I just want to bring some clarity. At what point do you believe the public and other people started paying attention to your friendship?
I think probably when I started to actually be a regular.
Okay, so give us that timeline from when he flew you out, you participated as a guest, you're done with the show, you fly back home. At what point from that last time up until you became a regular were you in communication with him?
So,
like months?
So after I did the first interview,
sure,
probably maybe a couple of weeks after the interview aired and Anton could actually see how it was doing, I got a really good response from his audience. And so his audience decided, to people that don't know Anton,
sure.
Anton is a big advocate of what his viewers and his watchers think, his chat, all of that. He calls them his co-hosts. A chat is like Anton is a
advocate of, you were saying
of
he's a
listening to what they like.
I see, okay.
So if they like this or that, he will pay attention to it,
okay.
And he'll try to implement that in the show. So Anton watched how everybody pretty much loved the interview. They either like this part about it. Oh, I think we think she's smart. We like this. She's pretty. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And so
people actually said you were pretty because you are.
Yes.
You're beautiful.
Thank
but
you.
We used to work together, woman.
Yes,
so I know this
yes.
stuff. But I just want to make sure that I'm really captivating the responses that the public wants. So people were saying, based on what he shared with you, that people said you were beautiful, you were smart.
Well, no, it's not based on what he was sharing with me. It's based on what's still on the page.
I see.
Yeah, so you can see that in the comment section, and of course, when it aired, you can see it in the chat.
Sure.
So you see all of these different things, and you're like, okay, well, if this is something that people are interested in, then I should explore more on it.
Okay.
And so Anton decided that he was going to revamp one of his channels that he canceled, called Fight Club or something like that. And he decided to make it like a nightly talk show.
Okay.
And when I guess he went on one of his live streams and as the bag chasers, as they're called, what they thought, and a lot of them, bring Micca. And so
you were heavily requested,
yes.
your
yes.
appearance.
Yes, and you can, and I tell people this all the time, with Anton, 99% of the things that he does is on camera.
Yeah.
So you can go back and just look at the comments.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just curious, does he also recruit males?
Yes.
So right now the team is made up, if you will. So let me make sure I understand this. The show, which are you hired by him currently on a show?
It's called Room 9 now, but at the time it's called After Hours.
So it's called Room 9. It was called After Hours. And how many regular guests or co-hosts rather are on there?
I want to say 5 or 6 now. So when it started, when it started, it was just me and Quentin.
Okay.
A gentleman named Quentin.
Sure.
And then it grew.
Okay. And now it's made up of male-female ratio, which
correct.
is, what's the male-female ratio?
So 1, 2, 3, so maybe 4 females, 3 males.
4 females, 3 males. Okay. Yeah. Are you a paid employee?
Correct. Well, I'm contracted.
Contracted.
Correct.
Yeah. And do you have to fly out every time?
No. Most of it is virtually. Only when we're actually like doing something, some like a bunch of content where we have to go there.
Yeah. What sealed the deal for you in working with Anton, or at least?
So to me, that makes sense, right? Like you want to use people that your chat is recommending because they're saying, if you build this, we will come. And we can be honest in saying that a pretty face is very easy to, gather the attention. Our society is kind of built on that. So I can see the play. I can see why you would say, all right, I'm going to take you from here and pitch you over here. If you're kind of just responding to what people say they want to see, right? When you get that big, like Anton's level, you have enough subscribers to sway the algorithm itself. But leaning into what's already pre-built, what's already pre-decided, that just makes sense. If we had the story of how the other people were recruited and they were similar, right? This would, I'd say this be a nothing burger.
Felt comfortable to say, I want to stay on as a contractor, and I really like what he has. What sealed that deal? So you become a guest and then you go back home and then you decided to accept the offer, if you will. But what sealed it for you?
What sealed it is I had already started in my podcasting process, and while I was there, I just in that small day and a half window, I got to see Anton's work ethic.
Sure.
And I got to see what goes on behind the scenes in podcasting and what actually how I can actually get to these numbers and, just things that a lot of people charge for.
Yep.
A lot of people sometimes, especially in Black and brown communities, don't want to tell, like it's some type of secret,
yep,
or somebody's going to steal their job.
Yep.
And so I was able, to benefit from being able to see this firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something. And he was very open about showing me this or that and the third, because it wasn't a sense of, oh, this is a threat if I tell you this, or you're going to tell other people and I'm not going to be able to make money.
Sure. So right now, your role as a co-host is virtual.
Correct.
How often do you fly, or what would be the need to fly to Detroit?
Only if we're doing other content. So like we did content one time for, a couple times, but in the beginning, the first time was for my channel.
Sure.
So I needed to do a one-on-one interview. So I got to do that plus our after hours.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Does Anton have you on an NDA? I've read that somewhere. A non-disclosure agreement for people who don't know.
Yeah, they always said it because some people pay attention to.
But does he have you on one?
No, I'm not on NDA.
So you're not on NDA?
No, I'm not on NDA. But he does give out NDAs to a lot of people. If not
staff, you mean?
Can you have someone sign an NDA and then have someone sign another NDA to not talk about signing the first NDA or do you just kind of bake that into the first NDA and say you can't talk about whether or not you can't? I'm curious. I'm also, I would love to get to that level where I'm handing out NDAs like candy.
Staff.
Anybody that he works with, so they don't have to be staff. If he just maybe interviewed you or whatever.
But were you ever on an NDA?
No.
So what's the exception? Why are you an exception?
I don't think I'm an exception because I don't ask, who's on an NDA, so I don't know.
But you know that other people are.
But I have seen him, put people on NDA. But as far as staff go, I don't ask. It's almost like at your job, you don't go, well, what's your salary?
Oh,
what's your salary?
Oh no, they do.
Depending on where you're not supposed to.
They wouldn't ask me.
With HR, you're not supposed to.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day,
Anyone curious? You're not supposed to. It's like it's bad culture, but it's not illegal. And you can absolutely ask your coworkers what your salary is, because you might want to find out whether or not you're underpaid versus some new hire. It's not illegal. It may be, you can consider it rude, but it's not illegal. Don't let HR tell you that it is.
I've never inquired to the other hosts if they have it or not, because I really don't care.
Now, are you paid per episode?
No, I'm paid per month.
Per month?
Yeah, like YouTube.
Wow, how much does he pay you?
It depends.
The range.
It depends because we bring in a lot of super chats, which is extra money that the audience gives.
And that's the way he makes the money for the show?
No.
Okay.
YouTube has AdSense and he has sponsorships, things like that. So all of that is factored in, plus anything that the audience gives as well.
Sure. So how much does he pay you? We were just talking about that range. Unless you want to specifically say how much. I'm
not going to give a specific
because that's the NDA characteristic.
No, that's my.
Or you want to protect him?
That's
so
my
then how
business.
Much?
That's my.
Yeah, he's definitely messy, right? You can see where he's angling, but he's definitely messy. But this is the type of interview you would want when you want to get down to the truth. That someone's like, yeah, I don't care that we have a history, we have this pseudo friendship. I still want to know what I want to know.
My business mind sense, because there are other people on that show. I do not know how much.
So then let's give a range, because a range doesn't pinpoint the range.
That's why I said I can do the range.
Yeah, sure.
You asked me to pinpoint.
Sure. What's the range?
So I can do a range of anywhere between 2 to maybe 35.
To what? I don't know. You said $2, $200
to 35.
2,000
to 35
to 3,500 a month.
Correct.
Okay, for your role.
I'm only on that show. So there are some people that are on 5 days a week. There are some people that are on 1 day a week. And for me, I'm only on Thursdays and Fridays.
Okay. So Thursdays and Fridays, you make a good amount of money just for Thursdays and Fridays?
Correct.
Yeah. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of what's been out there. Mm-hmm. So I understand that Anton is married. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're married?
Correct.
Correct. Have you met Anton's wife?
Yes.
How would you describe her?
She's when I say probably one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, that lady is probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And has Anton met your husband?
In person, absolutely not.
He has not met him in person. Has he met him over the phone or in DM? What other form of introduction when you say not in person?
Because a lot of people assume that when you have to see people, it has to be in person, or that if you don't meet them in person, then it's something or whatever. So
I'm saying, what's the form of communication? That he met your husband?
They don't have a form of communication where they talk back and forth.
Yeah. But you said he did not meet your husband in person.
No.
Is that to imply that he met him virtually?
No.
So he's never met your husband?
No.
And why is that?
No particular reason.
Sure.
Just I've never had to actually do anything where my husband was there, and so if he's there, like when we work together, is here, so my husband's come here. But
when we first met and worked together,
we were in person as well.
Your husband came.
Yeah, but we were here. We were here in the DC area. Yes, my husband came.
Yes.
So again, if he was here, then yes. But most of my business dealings, and if not all, I usually have a manager or somebody else deal with that. So that's the reason why it's not a thing. But I talked to my husband about it.
How long have you and Anton been business partners or friends?
We're business partners. And
so you're not a friend, because I don't want to provide language that's inaccurate.
That's why I changed it.
Yeah.
We're business partners, absolutely.
You're not friends?
No.
Okay.
Friends would imply that we hang outside of business.
Not necessarily. Well, yes, correct.
Yeah, like
outside of business.
Yeah,
correct.
like not.
I think he did that correction on purpose in terms of there's some if you're not familiar, there's some photos where they're like, you guys do look friendly, right? So again, I think he'd be a great interrogator, great lawyer, great cross-examiner. But if you are in that interview space, or maybe take notes like I am.
We were, me and you, we're shooting here, and then we just get something to eat afterwards, but we are doing business.
Yes.
I'm saying, hey, are you up? Are you available today? Or you want to go out to the blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Do you believe it was important at some point for you to introduce your husband to Anton?
Yeah, because
I'm sure his wife thought it was important to meet you.
I can't speak on what his wife thought.
Correct.
But the one time that I would have is when we had an event here, but he had to work. So, I mean.
But have you made it a concerted effort to make it happen? We do what we want to do, when we want to do it, for whom we want to do it for. And if something is really important to you and your family, either on your end as a wife, you absolutely make a concerted effort for this man, or
go ahead,
or Anton as a man says, I want to meet your husband just because you're married, and I don't want any messaging or anything else to be misconstrued by him or the public. So it's fair that I introduce myself. Has that conversation happened?
No, that conversation has not happened. And I understand what you're saying.
Now, I'll be fair, that seems strange given Anton's angle and his lane about being Christian conservative, right? Of that seems like a strange thing not to do, like, hey, we're going to do business or reach it out to you. Especially if you're also in that conservative sort of space. So I get what you're saying. It does seem weird that there hasn't been, especially when he's like, hey, here's my wife. And there hasn't been that other part of it where it's like, yo, here's my husband, and let's just have at least this level of communication back and forth. If you're going to reach out and do business with someone's, wife in this space, in this way, and even just the very beginning, oh, thank you, Marissa, for the bronze medal. I'm flying you out, business, right? I want you to come work over here, and Anton has businesses, knows how to run them. They say, we're going to pay for your stay, your hotel stay, pay for the flight, so you can come out here and do this. I would expect there to be, right? Especially with just a conservative angle, not saying that, you have to monitor your wife and say you cannot do these things. It just seems like, yeah, why wouldn't there be any of this back and forth? Even after X amount of time has passed and you guys have been rocking and rolling, you're even virtually twice a week. There has never been that opportunity where, hey, this is who my man is.
My thing, again, my business dealings is normally with me, my manager, things like that. But it's not without my husband knowing. So everything that I do, every place that I go, everything that I'm going to be doing, my husband knows. And I have to actually talk about it with him, tell him what I'm doing, things like that.
How did you reassure your husband this was strictly business? Like, if my wife is flying to another state, at some point I'm going, or I need to meet this person in person. And it doesn't matter to me if he's single or married. It doesn't matter to me if he feels that he wants to meet me. I want my wife to be very committed and loyal to the idea of her business engagements I should be comfortable with as a husband. Do you understand?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Sure.
But my my thing is, I think a lot of people sometimes misconstrue is this. You guys separate for some reason, independent from like big conglomerates, right? So if there's a person that has a business,
Sure.
it automatically changes from if Disney calls you, right? Because there have been other things that I have done as far as movie sets and other things that my husband has not gone to, and nobody would bat an eye if I'm talking to the director or if I'm going to meet, for a shoot for this or that. Your spouse is not always coming, and so I think the notion that just because it's this person, and I understand that people have their own thoughts and perceptions of people, but I think a lot of the times when it comes down to people who are in independent media, they think it's more of a personal level, and still it's business.
Yeah, but I think what people may feel befuddled or confused by is at some point you put the business aside when rumors are brewing, when images are plastered all over social media.
Now you're talking about a year later.
Okay, so before a year later, let me ask you this. Has there ever been a concern from your husband about your business relationship with Anton?
My business relationship, absolutely not. Because one, he can watch it. Like he can literally sit there and watch it. And then two, if he has a concern or anything he wants to know, I just tell him.
Has he ever been incredulous? Like skeptical?
What?
Yeah, has he been with?
Excellent word. This is an excellent word. Yeah, I would be. If I was a husband, and I wouldn't even consider it an insecurity, but you were plucked from the spaces, from the masses, from the group, from the crowd, because they said, right? The chat said you're pretty, you're gorgeous. They liked your content and they put you forward. Based on that, and it's still we stand by. It's a good business decision. I'm gonna put you in this space. I'm gonna have you as a recurring host. I'm going to pay you this deal. If those were the requirements in which I took you from here to here and frequently use you, at some point in time, as a husband, I'm gonna be like, yo, maybe it's it's not like, you have a W-2 job and you have a boss, and I'm saying, hey, I got to meet your boss, right? I get what she's trying to do and compare the two things but it's not. It's independent sort of media. The head who's in charge is very vocal about who he is, about what he is, and his name is on the page. So when you're saying you're not meeting with representatives, and I'm the director working on this on behalf of Anton Daniels. No, I'm Anton Daniels. I'm the guy. You're meeting with me. We're doing this, and then we're gonna, engage in this sort of deal. Yeah, I as a husband, even in being secure, I'd still want to be like, yeah, if it's possible, I'd like to meet him, like to look the man in the eye. I don't think that's unreasonable.
If you're flying out there, or depending on how long you stay, or just the mere fact that I never even met this person, has he just had that sort of incredulity, if you will, about not meeting your male business partner?
So I think he would like to be, more involved with coming out there. But again, and you know what my husband does for a living.
Sure.
So it's not feasible.
No, it's feasible, because here's how I see it. If Anton has to get on an airplane and come and meet your husband out of respectability, then that's what a man does.
If that
so
was
it's feasible.
I was talking about feasible for if anytime I have to get up and go do something. And it's not just with
I
Anton.
know that, because your husband hasn't always been on the show when we were doing something, so I get that.
Correct. And
Yep.
so that's what I mean by it's not always feasible. But if it was to that point where he wanted to have, Anton do something, or if it was, well, I want to go,
Sure.
that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But it's never a, I don't, how should I say it? I don't give a, I need to hide this, or it's just, I just really feel that because this is independent, that we are not looking at it as business, because
what is independent?
Because this is okay, so this is your business here.
Sure.
I can talk to you directly instead of having to talk to 1,001 people to get to you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
With that, it's still a business, but I can talk directly to you. So I can talk directly to Anton. So being that I can talk directly to Anton, I think people get a sense of that, well, because you can do that, then now it's something more happening if you go meet with this person.
Yeah.
Versus looking at it still the same. Yeah, this is not a big corporation, but this is still business, and this is still a person that is going to be employing me, contracting me.
I think it's simple. It's you have the opportunity to meet, right? Versus you're working for Disney. You're not meeting Bob Iger. But if you were, you had access to Bob Iger, yeah, that changes things. It's not, you don't have an HR department that is the go-between that keeps you and this person insulated. No, there's a level of trust, there's a level of dare I say intimacy that can be created there. You are now, we understand there's differences in the relationships between someone that is employing you and paying you, and you have direct access to this person. Not only that, you often are alone with that person. Yeah, I don't think it's outside of the realm of, possibility that someone should be like, I should meet him. I should meet him. You're flying out there. It's, it sounds like they're both very well off. So yeah, I'll catch a flight out to Detroit with you. If you being put up in a hotel, I'll be put up in a hotel. I'll be there with you. I'll be on set, right? And if there's no issue, there's no issue.
Whatever. That still has to happen. If I was flying to Disney has to pay for my room and board. Yeah. Disney has to do this, that, and the third. And so again, I think because it's a singular person that is easily accessible per se.
That's right. Yep.
Now it's a different notion. Well, this must be for this, instead of looking at it as business.
So let's call a thing, if you will. And I want to really drive it home. Mm-hmm. Has Anton ever flirted with you?
Flirted with me as a sense of what? Just naturally, like we're sitting here, or because I'm gonna explain.
Well, I don't want to get into wordsmithing.
No, there's no wordsmithing. Okay. The reason why I'm asking,
because I want to talk about some pictures too.
No, yeah, okay. I got you. But the reason why I'm asking is because there's two different things, right? So Anton does things for content, and then there's things that Anton would do if we're just sitting here.
Okay.
So if you're saying personally, if me and Anton was just sitting here, no. Now, if you're talking about for content, when we're doing the virtual rooms and things for the show, Anton has said multiple things. So that's why I asked, which one are you talking about?
So let me hear a few of the multiple things that he said that was a flirt.
Messy.
What people would consider if he's, saying.
Not people, what you considered as a flirt.
I would say probably if he's like, oh, Micca, you're so sweet, or you're so cute, right? But the problem that I have with it is because I know he's doing it for content, right? And he's not actually talking to me. However, I will say what I probably should have paid more attention to is the fact that people take content as real life instead of just content.
Yeah, but it's the way the content is represented. It's the way the content is put forth, to saying these are the values that I actually espouse. This is who I am. And again, Anton is on record saying, this is, I'm not for play. This is who I am. The way he is online, the way he is when the camera's set up is the same way he said he moves outside of that. So it's not, yes, I get that some people will look at your content and then immediately think they understand you. They understand your values. They understand you as if they know you better than you know yourself. And they'll speak to that. But you also, there's a symbiotic sort of relationship going on here that exists. You put something out, and then what you're desirous of is their attention, is their clicks, their views, their donations, right? Their subscriptions, all of that. And what they get from that is a little piece of your life and the belief that is truthful. It's when these things blow up and you find out that these influencers or these creators never ever lived that type of lifestyle. This is when the this is when this stuff starts breaking down. When you see the dichotomy, when you're like, okay, when initially when TikTok looks like it was going to be banned, and the hours before it was supposed to go into effect, a bunch of creators came on there and revealed the truth about, like, say, in terms of fitness creators. And yeah, no, I never do these workouts. I never do any of these routines. I got a BBL. I don't eat like this. I don't do this. Blah 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 blah. I'm on Ozempic. And then when the clock struck 12 and there was an extension, people lost a lot of trust.
Right, because I come from a world where I know entertainment is entertainment, and people say this and that, with reality shows, all of that is just for entertainment. And they go, the cameras cut off, and they don't really hate each other. They talk to each other.
But has he said those things to you privately?
No, and that's why I asked you.
It's all been on the show?
Yes, that's why I asked you the difference. And that's why I wanted to make that distinction. Because if I just said, he said this word, you would probably think it's just because we're sitting here. That's why I said no. He has done it for content while we're all, and mind you, he says it to not just me, other women on the panel.
And how did you feel when a married man said that to a married woman?
Again, at first, because you.
Yeah, no, I don't think, like, I think one of the things that made it a hot topic is that she was there when Corey Holcomb sort of, had when they had that meltdown. Where, and it certainly does help that she's pretty, that she has the features that people look and say, okay, light skin, Afro-Latina, curly hair. Okay, we like these things. So now it's an issue. But if we know if Anton was there with the man and Corey Holcomb was there, explain the dude, you wouldn't have this sort of thing. Right? Maybe today with allegations like, but even then, I don't think they'll be calling Anton gay for something like that. But yeah, you got this perfect foil right here that she's attractive, and now we're like calling into question, and the internet is completely abuzz. We're saying, oh, he's sleeping with her. This is the mistress. This is the side chick, and outside of some things that I think can be looked at, sort of like, it's just in light of the conservative angle, the saying that I'm a Christian man, I'm this before anything. He's even saying before I'm Christian before I'm black. Okay, if you're holding yourself to this standard, then a lot of this doesn't make sense. I'm not saying it's enough where people should be jumping and saying, there's something that's going on here. But hey, did he ever flirt with you? Oh, what do you mean? You're a married woman. He's a married man. And he doesn't flirt with you off camera, so that makes it fine. But it's for content, so he flirts with you online. Does that make it better? Right? But again, is this enough smoke where we're saying there's fire? I don't think so.
You don't understand.
But also, that's my bias, because I think Anton is, for all his faults, I think he's a good businessman. And I think he understands that this would be absolutely detrimental to his brand. And the easiest way for you to fall from grace, but fall from the pocket, right? From if we're talking about football, the pocket is the money. And right now you're in that perfect pocket where you're getting, no sponsors have pulled out. His subscriber count hasn't tanked, and he's still pushing out the same content. He's still pushing out everything. So if anything, there's more eyes on what he's doing. More people talk about him. If anything, we learned from President Trump is like there's no such thing as bad publicity.
You know,
who doesn't
content,
understand?
Meaning, well, I'm talking about myself.
Yeah.
So again, being on YouTube, when you don't understand certain bounds of YouTube panels and things like that, people on panels say all types of egregious stuff or whatever to get reactions from the crowd, right? And so you might personally take stuff a certain way when they were just doing it as a reaction to get people in the crowd.
And so how did you feel?
I didn't feel a certain way. I didn't say anything because I was a little off-putted. But once I understood what he was trying to do, I'm like, okay, well, you can't say this and that and the third. It's okay if you're like, okay, I have beautiful women on my panel. That is fine, right? Because people can acknowledge that people look nice and things like that. But it's when it becomes personalized that it looks funny to the audience.
How does his wife feel? Has his wife, Rita, ever expressed to you her disdain, or have you heard her discuss something with him about her disapproval of saying that to you on a show? Even because
go ahead.
Well, let me just say this just before you answer. I think there's a line you draw in the sand when I say something because it's content. So I'm producing content here, I'm doing a show, and if I say to you, knowing your husband, wow, you look so beautiful and you're so gorgeous, boy, I wish we could probably just go for a nice drink. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, but he's never said that to me.
Yeah, but
totally different.
He may not have used my words. I'm just saying.
No, he's never done that. Period. Like, oh, well, let's go for.
But he's called you beautiful.
Oh, yes.
And gorgeous.
Yes.
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 On the show.
Yes.
And to you, that's not a problem. Because it's happened more than once.
Correct.
And I'm not trying to make it a problem.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Let me answer your question. So yes, he said beautiful, gorgeous, whatever. But there's not like, well, I want to take you to the whatever, or let's do this and this and that. And it's just.
Well, he's taking you somewhere. Let's look at this picture. You guys were at a game when you said he wanted to take me somewhere. Now, I'll be honest, when I saw this picture, I was flabbergasted.
Why?
Because.
Wait.
Sure.
So go back to what you were saying, because you can't intertwine the two. So you were asking.
Sure.
Was he expounding on
flirt?
On the certain type of things that he says, and we were talking about him saying beautiful, whatever, but not expounding in that way.
Yes.
Now, what is your question that you're asking now? Because
I think I asked it, was it disrespectful? Did you feel that it was disrespectful? And I think you answered it by saying no, because you realize that it's content and people do these shows and they say things. And you also clarified it by saying outside of the show, that has never happened. Would that be correct, what I heard?
Right. But you use the hook at the end to say, well, he's taking you somewhere.
Well, I think you said something, and we can probably roll it back in post-production. You said something about when we go places or he takes me somewhere. And that's what made me say.
So what I said was he's not adding on to the beautiful or gorgeous, saying, dang, you're so gorgeous.
Yes.
That I want to take you to the whatever so we can do this.
And I thought we clarified that, because I said those are my words. That's what I said. And you did say he doesn't say that.
No.
Right. And I didn't want to put words in his mouth, but I wanted to be clear. So let's go to the picture.
Okay.
Tell us about this. How did this happen?
So this was the day that we did the interview. So the show did an interview, or just you and him? This was my interview day.
The first day?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So this is my interview day, because you can go and you can see the outfits, the same outfit, same everything. Now, what he is doing here is he had already a business meeting set up there. So there is.
That's what he told you,
no,
correct?
That's what happened.
No, I'm not saying that's what he told you as if that was a cake bake. He told you he had a business meeting and you were invited.
No.
Okay.
So again, back there, probably like on the first level there is a area where if you have, your high roller seats and things like that, you I don't know what they call it there in Detroit, but here in DC, they call it maybe the Ultra Club and things like that, where all the people that have club seats, things like that. Yeah, you have, of course, conference rooms, other things up there. And back there is where he had his meetings. He met a couple of high profile people. They were talking about sponsorships. They were talking about interviews, a whole lot of stuff.
No, I still don't think you answered the question. What I'm trying to
get
at.
You asked what was I doing there?
How did, because I said he had a business meeting and invited you, and you said no. So you didn't fall out the sky. They didn't open up the dome and you came down on a harness into the meeting. So what I'm saying is
hold on, ask your actual question.
So this is what I'm saying. The interview is over. The one-on-one interview is over, correct?
Correct.
What does the conversation sound like to invite you to come here?
Okay.
Because I said you were invited and you said no.
Okay. So no, that's not what I said. But
we're going to play it back.
Nevertheless, so again, he had business meetings there, and he said, well, I got a couple meetings at the game, and these people I think will be good for you to meet. I said, sure.
And you were the only one from the team that went, or were there other people? I know you were the only interview.
I wasn't at a team then.
No, I'm saying the interview was his staff, his production. Like you have camera people, producers, etc. So the production is over. Did he not only apprise you that he was going and invited you, were there other production people?
Well,
because we all have gone out together after production.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, again, you have production people and everything, all that other good stuff. Anton does everything himself.
Yes.
And I do mean all of it. Unless sometimes, like if he has something else going on, there may be another person there because they maybe have to help him with something else. But if it's on,
I'm impressed in terms of just that takes a lot of work at that volume, and doing all that takes a lot of work. That's again, work ethic wise, I think that's impressive.
Only like one thing that he's doing outside of his own videos.
Sure.
It's only him.
So his wife wasn't there.
At this one, no.
Right. So you flew out for an interview.
Mm-hmm.
You went to his studio or place of production.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all did an interview, and it's just you guys. Correct.
So I flew to Detroit. Got to the hotel. Okay. Got to the studio.
He booked a hotel for you, the location.
Correct.
Okay.
Got to the studio. His wife came past the studio. That's when I first met her.
Sure.
But she did not stay.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and I'm not trying to be too investigatory, but it gives foundation.
Mm-hmm.
How far is the hotel from the studio and from his home, if you knew that?
I've never been to his home. So
well, you don't have to go to a person's home.
You said from his home, so yeah. I don't know.
You don't know that? Okay, fair enough. From the studio? Give or take 5, 10, 15 minutes or more.
I say maybe 10 or 15.
Okay, 10 or 15. So then he says...
It's all downtown.
It's all downtown. So he says, hey, I got this business meeting. I'm going to this game. Would you like to go with me?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you said yes because you weren't forced into going.
Not I got this game. I got this meeting.
I have this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I'm looking at this picture, are you all on the floor at a basketball game?
Correct, that's the floor.
Okay, at a basketball game.
Correct.
So you went to a basketball game. Did you watch the game?
No, this picture right here, we probably sat on this court maybe 10 minutes.
Oh,
we
I see.
In the back.
So a meeting, and then y'all just went on the floor to take a picture.
No, we just went on the floor, and we sat there maybe 10 minutes, and then they had their,
sat there 10 minutes to watch a game for 10 minutes?
He wanted to see a little bit of the game. Sat there maybe about 10 minutes. The quarter ended, Went right back to the back.
Okay, and was his wife invited with you guys to the business meeting?
I don't know if she was invited or not.
Was she
but
there?
If she was there, no.
She was not there.
Mm-mm.
Okay, in that moment, did you feel awkward?
No,
No.
because I was there for a meeting. So
But you had nothing to do with the meeting, right?
Let me finish.
Sure.
I was there for a meeting, right? So he's already having his business dealings, whatever he's going to do. You're in business, you're in this crowd.
Sure.
You absolutely understand that there are networking opportunities. If I know so-and-so and I bring you with me
Sure.
and so-and-so sees you,
Correct.
oh, you can make networking opportunities. And you also know that it does not happen in a vacuum. It does not happen in offices.
Correct.
It does not happen. You can be at the golfing, you can be at the NBA games, all types of things. So again, kind of like just like the thing we were talking about with it just being the fact that it's just that person that is the business entity. I also think that when people don't know business or people have never experienced what it's like to network, especially with people that are upper echelon, they don't understand that these things don't happen in just offices. These things don't happen in a particular place. So there are a lot of high rollers and business people. Like there were people there that were part of the NBA.
Sure.
The guy that owns the actual arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
All there.
Yeah.
All the mayor, like all there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, the former mayor.
The former mayor, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the difference, and you know this because we work together.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to how critical it is for the male that you're working with, particularly when it's sort of independent and we are being seen and these sort of pictures come about. It's important to meet and know your husband. And I'm not saying he isn't a man of character because I don't know Anton. And I'm not here to vilify him. I'm just going based off how things look and what the concerns have been in the public.
I can understand, but that's why I don't mind. That's why I don't mind talking about it, because there's nothing nefarious that I ever had going on. And again, I never do anything unless my husband knows.
So your husband knew that you were going to this business meeting?
My husband knew that I was where I was.
No, let's be very clear with language. So I want to be clear with my question.
Okay.
Did your husband know that after the show, the interview was over, you were going to a basketball, not a basketball, you were going to a meeting at an arena where a basketball game was?
I don't remember if I told him before or after, but I did tell my husband. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you told him. But
of course.
When you say you don't remember
meaning
before or after, is it fair to say you told him after?
No, it's not fair.
Because how do you not remember that?
Because I don't remember everything about that day.
No, but you're a married woman who goes, and I want to be fair to you, but I want us
because to me, everything that I'm doing is business. So again,
but a married woman doesn't forget if she told her husband she went somewhere before or after.
No, you're trying to pinpoint a time frame, and I'm telling you, I don't remember my time frame.
Not a time frame.
I tell my husband everything. So yes, I did, and I posted this. This is my picture.
Yes.
So again, if I was trying to hide it, if I didn't want my husband to know it, I would have never posted.
So you think posting it makes you innocuous?
No, I'm telling you that I don't hide anything. I have nothing to hide. And so if I wanted to hide something from my spouse, I would have never posted.
Let's look at the next picture. I thought the next picture was really, really interesting. And in this next picture.
But wait, why are you leaving that one? Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving that one?
What is there more you want to expound?
No, but it's something that you want to expound on, because
you said why I'm leaving that picture to go to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like you gave clarity. What I heard you say was it wasn't a basketball game I was invited to.
Correct.
I was invited to a business meeting.
Correct.
I heard you say I went for an interview, and after the interview, I was asked and I accepted the offer.
Okay.
I heard you say that I apprised my husband, or you told your husband this is where you were going. You couldn't remember if it was before or after, but either way, your husband knew. And the final thing you said was you posted the picture.
Correct.
I have nothing further.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you may not, you like his inflection, but this is a great interview style, right? Beyond that, this is a great way just to have regular conversations with people when you may be getting at something that may be more emotional. Whereas, like, no, this is what you're saying. This is what I heard. It's weird. It's almost like I get I get her point of view. She's like, she feels like I have to prove something. So once okay, all right, what about this next picture? Well, no, why are you leaving this? I got my answer, right? Unless you want to, it's not that there's a smoking gun. There's not that there's you sitting here catching it. Hey, this is what you're doing, this is what you're saying, but just like, yo, this kind of looks weird. Kind of looks weird. Okay, yeah, you posted it. You feel like posting this makes you innocent? Again, it could be like I think it's probably, I would say, a series of just, okay, I did that. It looks weird, but my husband's fine, right? Or I'm saying my husband's fine. The rest of us, we don't have any legs to stand on to judge your relationship and says, this is wrong. You should behave like this. We're just saying, oh, okay, I probably would have done something differently, but I can see why this happens. If this is how your life is set up and your husband's fine with it, then we don't have any leg to stand on. We can just look and say, okay, I wouldn't do it. It wouldn't be me, but
Is that fair?
That's fair.
Next picture. I was flabbergasted by this picture.
Okay, tell me why.
Because there's no way my wife would be physically touching, leaning on a married man, leaning on a single man, leaning on another man in a way that suggests I'm feeling you, I like you. This is really some sort of.
Why do you think that says I'm feeling you?
Even if it doesn't say I'm feeling you, I don't want my wife.
Why do you think?
Yeah.
Why do you think that suggests that I'm feeling you? Because
okay, let's
hold on,
omit.
Hold on. The reason why I'm asking you.
Okay.
The reason why I'm asking you is I have tons of pictures of our former co-hosts.
Yep.
With the same lean, everything.
But here's the difference.
Hold on.
Yes.
And that person is also a male, all right? And we have a working relationship, and it's the same exact type of picture.
But here's the disrespect. This is a married man that you are physically leaning into.
I'm not leaning into.
That to me,
I'm not leaning into.
To me, there's space there. Here's my perspective of it. There's a gap between it, but I'm looking at how you have a smile on your face. This is just my perspective. Your eyes look seductive. Just my perspective. And your arm is relaxed on his upper shoulder.
Correct.
And I would never imagine a married woman leaning on a business male partner that way. That to me is inappropriate. That's if you were my wife, I would have a serious problem. My problem would be so serious, you would have to probably extinguish your contract with him.
Okay.
So I like what he's saying or how he's saying it, right? If you were my wife, right? If you were my wife, and this is completely from your perspective, but it doesn't make someone that guilty of this. You're just saying, this is disrespectful. This is distasteful. If you were my wife, what relationship they have can be whatever it is, but outside of this entire thing blowing up, these pictures already existed, and have people looked at that in the past and said, something's wrong here. Maybe this is just kind of, it doesn't help the argument. But to be fair, you should post randomly, right, 10 other photos of her taking pictures with people. That would be fair if you want to look and say, like, let's get a good sample size of the photos she tends to take and she tends to post. Do any of them also look this way in this light? To just to be fair, when we're looking at this and just isolated in this way, it does make it seem salacious. But again, we can cherry pick all these things and you say, yeah, maybe you're a little too close to him. And that, again, that's a conversation for her and the husband. The husband's out here, blowing the horn. We could just look and say, okay, I wouldn't do it in my relationship. And you take that with your relationship and say, I wouldn't do it. Now, again, where I think things start looking bad is because of what you guys sort of say you believe in, the conservativeness, the Christian values, that tends to look a little bit like, well, is this what it is, or is this just sort of an angle? Is this what you really believe in? Especially if you're saying there's nothing wrong here, but out of respect for his wife and his wife not being there, he may be comfortable taking a picture like that. You may be comfortable taking a picture like that, but he's married. And someone that's espousing those conservative Christian values, you could say, yeah, this wouldn't be cool. I may be fine with it, but I don't know about your wife. You may be running and gunning to having these business meetings. More power to you. Your wife's not here. If I wouldn't do it in front of your wife, or if I would do it in front of your wife and I would feel uncomfortable, maybe I shouldn't do it. But again, is this enough to say, yo, you guys are no. 2026, accusation, hopefully we need more than an accusation levied by someone else. If there were, damning photos, text messages, something, but here's like, if you want to make it a thing, yes, I can see why and how the internet is using it to make it a big thing. But I think it's missing a lot of teeth. That's what I think. But again, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna keep going.
Just because, and I will also feel a little uncomfortable that this gentleman obviously did not either push you away or suggest that we shouldn't take this type of picture. I've never met your husband. I fly you out here once or twice. This is this may not be the first time. So which point was this? Not that it matters if it was the third time, the fourth time.
Right. If it has a hint of impropriety, you wouldn't want your significant other. Yeah, you're sitting on the couch together, and you guys are completely platonic, but your legs are touching, your knees are touching. If your spouse walked in and saw that, how would they feel? Right? How would they feel? They see this photo. If your wife saw this and this came up, would she feel like, you gotta go the Keanu Reeves approach with photos. Like you can clearly see he's never touching anyone. There's always that bit of distance. And then again, it's wholly by that. The fact is that you guys are proponents of this, sort of Christian conservative belief. That's what makes it like,
This is the second time.
Oh, goodness. The second time?
This is the second time I'm out there. Not the second time I'm dealing with Anton.
Okay, so what's and it doesn't matter to me, but what's that gap between the first time you're there, he takes you to a business meeting at a basketball game, and you guys are sitting on the floor like you are
that we're working together? And it's not like that.
Well, that's not working together.
No, go back to what you just said.
Is that working together?
No, go back to what you just said.
Which part?
It's not that, no, you said a couple.
Well, pick one.
No, you said sitting on the floor like you are a couple.
Yeah, listen, I'm not.
But you're interjecting your own thoughts, especially.
I'm giving you my perspective.
But your perspective is after I told you.
Literally, name of the show, perspective, right? Yeah, I would, if I was trying to impress someone, this is exactly what I would do, right? If I flew you out here, put you in a hotel, and this is my production. You see, we do the thing. We do what we're recording. You see, I'm doing it. How much my space, my channel has grown, you can see it's solely because of me. I've done this. I've built this thing into a multi-million-dollar, thing on YouTube and beyond, right? I have 3 channels. I'm doing the work. I'm the face behind this. I can employ you. Better yet, we're done with this. I got another meeting. It'd be dope if you came. and I'm meeting with a bunch of high level people. Hey, floor seats, right? This is my life. This is regular Douglas. What I do. That's how you try to impress someone, right? I wasn't there, and I'm impressed, right? Like, you've got enough money to pay this person 8 other people, and then still the revenue you're generating, like all this is bling, and you're still saying, I can do this to this level all the time, twice a day, 7 days a week, and still running, different live streams, your bag chasers, the after hours, your own. Yeah, this is me. I'm gonna blow you away with the work ethic in the space that you want to be in. He may not have used that to do anything else, but I definitely wanted to impress upon you.
So to put something else there.
Okay, I see. That's fair. Okay, so
something else on it.
I think that's a fair point. I don't want to spin it. What I want to say is messaging, imagery is critical because imagery is messaging.
Correct.
And a lot of times on a jumbotron at a game, we often see couples, whether you're high up or you're on the floor. A lot of times when people are on the floor, you see.
Do you sit at the game?
Do I sit at the game?
Correct.
Yes.
Do you sit at the game on the floor?
I have.
No. Do you all the time?
No.
Okay. All right. So who have you met at these games on the floor?
This is my show, not yours. I'm not answering the questions.
Oh, okay. And the reason is,
if I come on your show, then we can get into that.
However, the reason I asked you is to give perspective, right?
Yes.
Because what I found, because I'm usually in the skybox.
Yes.
When I'm here in DC, I'm in my box. I don't like to be down on the floor. That's not my thing.
Sure.
On the floor, there are family members there. They are some of those people. A lot of them are like business seats.
Yep.
So anybody from these law firms, offices, are down there on the floor.
Yep.
That I've never known who sits down on the floor because I don't care and I don't sit there, right? But by being there, I found out who was actually down there, family members, business partners, all of that. That's who I met.
Listen,
hold on.
Yes.
So again, I'm not disputing your perspective as far as people that don't know.
Yeah.
Right? That's fair. But when you are in that world and you are in the know, and you know more than just the I would say the popular culture of who might sit down there, right? Because you might see your favorite rapper, things like that. But all those people that are sitting beside the rapper, you absolutely don't know why they're there.
But two married people shouldn't be sitting together without their spouses.
No. Now, see, and here we are again with you going back to something that's not, because you are essentially saying that I cannot do any business dealings with somebody that is in business because that person is married.
No, what I'm saying is somebody who's never met your husband.
Because if I go out with you or anybody
and
else,
I met your husband.
Okay, but
the former host has met your husband.
But we've already talked about that.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is, you're saying because you don't know when you're looking at that picture. You don't know if he met him or not.
I know he hasn't met your husband. When I looked at that picture, and maybe because I have inside knowledge.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why.
So my point is, you don't know.
But I don't have to know to know that that's inappropriate. Let me say this, and maybe you just don't see it. You can't see how this could be construed.
That's not what I said.
Okay, so do you see this as being inappropriate?
We just talked about what it can look like imagery wise.
So let me ask you, forget the imagery. Is this inappropriate to you?
I think that's an excellent like question to sort of look and end something like that on. Does that seem inappropriate to you? Because the rest of us can look and say, yeah, that I would assume that there may have been something going on. That level of comfortability is what I'm seeing, and you're saying this is the second time that we've met. Right? We've worked together in the interim, but this is the second time of us being in person. Yeah, it does. It does look a little bit weird. And I'm not saying that Anton wasn't trying to be, show off in front of her about what he can do, his resources, his access. Yeah, that's a normal thing for a man to want to do, especially in front of a pretty woman. But would it call into question, like, yeah, should you be doing that? Or if you would do that if your wife was there? No, like, if there's an employee, this is someone that who's going to look at this as a very beneficial thing, right? This is gonna you coming on my show, my platform, what I'm doing is gonna be so great for your YouTube career, and I'm paying you $2,000 to $3,500 for what, 8 days of work a month for you to come on, and I don't know how long those actual podcasts run, but that's a phenomenal deal. If you consider just looking at the income that you generate from YouTube and sponsorship and partnership, yeah, that this is a complete leg up for your career, for exposure. So if I'm treating you like an employee, you came out, you did the shoot. Hey, listen, great, especially the first time. Super dope meeting you. Look over the paperwork of the contract or anything else. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I got to run. They fight back. I've got these other things to do. But if I want to impress upon you about how great of a deal this is, yeah, then come with me. Rock out with me. I'm going out here. There is advantages for you to be seen with pretty attractive people. There's a huge advantage to that. Could this be just a series of small, not terrible, but kind of like misguided choices? Probably. I can see that. But as a whole, saying like, "Oh no, there's something going on." I don't know. But again, the way she responds to some of these questions, that's why we watched the first part about how she was speaking about politics. The way you answer some of these things, like if there's nothing going on, you tend to see when people are telling the truth, they're just kind of like, yeah, I did this and did that. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I can see how that looks wrong. But that's not the case. I don't have to over explain. I don't have to sit there and try to, like, I'm trying to convince you as I'm convincing myself. In her defense, I don't watch a lot of her content. Where when I see these panel shows, I'm usually not sitting there and saying, let me try to follow, because it's chaotic. So I don't know her normal affect and how she usually goes about explaining her points. But here, I think it would have been so much easier to say when a host is making points and saying, yeah, man, this doesn't look bad to you. I said, I can see that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. There's a conversation I should probably have with my husband, just make sure he's feeling okay. Thank you for that. I was like, oh, okay. There's nothing else for me to buy it on. There's like, oh shit, yeah, okay, I can see that. But I'm telling you about the situation, and then families are sitting down here. No, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I can see that. I can see that. That's on me. That's on me. I can eat that. Yeah, that does. Yeah. After that, we don't have photos like that because I can see how good it could be misconstrued as inappropriate. And I should apologize to his wife, right? Because this is what it looks like. There's nothing like that going on. I have nothing but the utmost respect for her, but this looks bad, right? I'm not trying to do anything to defame her character or her integrity, right? This is a pure business relationship. I think after you say something like that, this interview is not going to be 2 hours plus. Okay, you're right. Done. But when you're trying to make something that seems wrong okay, this is when you start to wordsmith and add all this extra character and flavor to your words. But listen, I didn't anticipate this going on 2 hours, and I know we all got stuff to do on Saturday. I don't want to monopolize your time, so I'll save the Cam Newton probably for another day, so we can all meet up back here and have a little more fun with that one. But besides that, thank you for your time.